Oh, it's me, Andy, from Blitz Gaming. Hope you're all having a great weekend. Today's video, Motherboards. What's the difference between H series and Z series? And B series if we had one. What we do is it's in the system. And then we've got an AMD, I think it's A520 motherboard. Yeah, just for, because we've got one there to show the difference between the boards. Now I keep getting asked about, okay, what's thermal throttling? Why is my CPU not going at full speed and so and so? Now if you look at the three boards, now straight away this is a Z series 690. We have massive thermal solution. Yep. None on the budget board, none again. Now sometimes you may get a small heatsink up here in a corner. These ain't got that. Now for instance, when I run the 12600K, when I tested it on here, I got 17,500 Cinebench benchmarks. That was without tweaking, that was just straight out of the box test run. Yeah. On this board, it went down to 14,500. Now obviously I had to tweak it to get it up to 17,000 benchmarks. Now, this is an AMD board, but it worked fine with 5600. Can't remember what the benchmarks were for the 5600, but but that's obviously AMD solution. And yes, we're doing the 79,000 benchmarks. This is getting up to 85C on the motherboard. CPU is getting up to between 75 and 80C. On this board, the motherboard was only getting up to 50C. CPU again lower with the same fan. Now why does it do it? Again, it's coming down to the cooling. Now what we have on there, you see these square blocks. On this board we have 7. And in between we have the chokes, then the capacitors, which we all call the VRMs, and I usually go around the CPU area. And there might be a few somewhere else around the board. And now on this board, you can't see them because they're all under basically the heatsinks. And that makes a big difference. Yeah, I just said, basically 85C versus 50C running a 12600K. Now actually I have to check, because I actually think, if I remember rightly, I think it's down to about 35, 40C, but I'm going to redo the test, the same test, because obviously software is updated, to just check the thermal solution between this board and the H series boards. But it's all to do with stability. Now this has got 7 MOSFETs. This has 19. Yeah, 19. It's basically the way it regulates the voltage. The more you got, better regulation of the power, and it also spreads the heat around the system more equal. So instead of being in one area getting really hot, it's sort of a bigger area. So the bigger area, the cooler it is. Let's say look at it. Okay, there is a difference in price. Now this is what, £85. This is £185. Now this is a basic Z series. Yeah, this is not an expensive board, but you've got to remember it comes with all the features under the sun. Yeah, well, saying all the features. It comes with all the stuff what you need in any Z board. So it's got all the PCI Express lanes. Yeah, maximum PCI Express lanes are up here versus this one. It comes with 10 USB sockets, 2 USB-Cs, and a Thunderbolt, plus 4 DIMMs, yeah, and 4 M2 sockets, where this comes with, I think it's 1 M2 plus possibly another, I can't remember, it's 2 on the L1. But it comes with 6 USBs, no USB-Cs, no Thunderbolt. Yeah, and only goes with 2 DIMMs, and there's no cooling. Yeah, again, it's all to do with cooling. Yeah, don't think the Z series is all about overclocking. It's not. Intel does not rate these boards for playing games. Yeah, only the Z series. Now you may say, oh, because they want more money out of you, but it's not. It's about thermal solutions. Yeah, the cooler the board, the better the speed. As I said, 17,500 benchmarks versus 14,500 benchmarks. Now, if I tweak this, I'll probably get up to about maybe 18,000, a bit more. But I'm not going to. I'm just quite happy to leave it at 79,000, running cool, no problem. That's what it's all about. Again, running cool. So yeah, don't go put in a 12900K in one of these balls, otherwise you're going to be in under C. Yeah. Or 3080, 3090 or AMD 600, 800 XT. Again, you haven't got a cooling solution and the wattage stability to go through the system to keep it working properly. Yeah. You're going to buy a budget motherboard, just stay to the low end i5s. Yeah. Because they're not designed to run at super high speeds. Yeah. Regardless what the manufacturer says on their website, yes, we can put 12900K there. Yeah, it run a 12900K, but it's not going to go at full speed, so it's pointless. Okay, I hope that's good enough for you. I'll show the benchmarks in a minute of this came out versus this board and the Asus and the Gigabyte board we done earlier. So yeah, that should be fine. And ready to go. Right, I'll see you in a bit. And it out. Okay, Cinebench R23. This is running on the Asus H610-A D4 motherboard. Instead of getting 100% utilisation, or basically 4.5 gig to 4.9 gig, it's basically around 4.5 gig 90% of the time, with a few spikes up to 4.9. It still gets 17,000 benchmarks, or 17,100, so it don't do too bad. But yeah, the VRMs are up to 70C. So yeah, it does get hot. Yeah, this is the problem with these balls, and this one does have a heatsink. A small heatsink, but it does have a heatsink. Now we're running on the Gigabyte Z690 board, Gaming X board. You can see the clock speeds are slightly higher. We're now at max 4.5, hitting just over 4.9 gigahertz or megahertz with the processor. If you notice that the package is slightly down by nearly 10 watts, so it's a lot more. It's got a lot more regulation in the voltage on the Z series board. Keep it under control, which is great because obviously energy prices are going through the roof, and we obviously want it to lose as less energy as possible. CPU's there 60C. Now I just noticed that I could change it, but I'm not going to do it again. It takes too long. I've actually changed the fan over to a different fan by accident. So that 10C could be correct to a degree, or but it's 10 degrees lower than the last setup, so I won't go by that too much. Okay, I've got the chart up. You can see straight away the Z series board comes out fastest. Now I've had it on a run where it went up to 17,800. And obviously we just take the one in the middle, really, the average. So yeah, now if you look at the ASRock board on basically standard run, 14,500 as I said. Now if you turn it to 95 watts, it gets up to 17,000. The other two boards and the Z board obviously default straight to 95 plus watts to run out the CPU maximum. Don't know why the ASRock one doesn't. It's one of those things really at the end of the day. So yeah, But obviously the H series boards, if you look at it temperature wise, the Z series is what, 38C top, where the other Gigabyte board H6, okay, it's coming in at 60, then we're going up to the 70s. I mean, it makes a big difference. Now, if you go by the top left VRM, that's the one where near the exhaust fan is. I mean, we're still getting up to 85C on the H balls and only 41 on the Z. So again, massive difference at the end of the day. Now you've got to remember, this is still with 3 fans blowing air in from the front and 1 at the back. So we've got airflow coming in. I mean, if you didn't have none of those fans in there, I wouldn't know the heat would be way, way higher in the system. And obviously the hotter it gets, as I said, it affects the CPU, and the CPU will then throttle back. Now this is why I state on the videos I do on the budget builds, don't go over an i5, low end i5. I mean 12.6, okay, it's pushing it. I wouldn't go over 12.6 at all. And if you was on last gen, you got to remember last gen is worse than 12.6. It's very, very hot. Basically, because your board is not going to handle the heat. I mean, you're going to hit 100C and you're going to have lots of black screens at the end of the day. And don't forget also, by having a powerful graphic card in there, that's also going to put your temperature up. So basically, if you're going to do a budget build, have a sort of budget graphic card with it. No higher end, I say, an RX 3050 or an RX 6600, RX from AMD, because otherwise you can start putting up the wattage and the heat. I mean, my 3080, I mean, that bangs out massive heat at the end of the day, even with its massive 3 fans on it. So, and it uses up a lot of wattage. Okay, I hope this video has gave you some sort of insight in what you should buy, and don't go overboard buying high power CPUs and high power graphic cards in a budget board, because they just don't want to work together. Okay, that's me done. I will see you in the next video. Hope you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe if you did. That is all, Andy out.